Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Personal FX. What could be more collectible than a stiff animal? We're going to tell you how to date them today.
John, we've got one guy in the apartment who collects 1,500 TV guides. Imagine how much television he watches.
Yeah, right?
And he's going to have one of his TV guides appraised on the show. But you know what? Joining us from Kemah, Texas is Gwen McGee. How are you doing today, Gwen?
I'm doing fabulous here in Kemah because we have a collector who has steam whistles, the old-fashioned kind that you used to hear on ships and trains and mills. We're gonna blow your whistle today, Claire and John, and it's coming up next on Personal FX. Hit it, Ron.
But old soldiers never die. They got the wind island.
Monkeys, turtles, elephants, zebras. What is this? Some sort of pet department show we got going on? No, it's Personal FX. And of course, all these animals are stiff animals. The question is, how do you date them? It's not that difficult if you're Susie Anderson. Hi, Susie, how are you?
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Good.
Now, how did this whole thing with the button in the ear in stiff animals, how did that all get started?
Well, in 1904, Marguerite Stife decided she wanted an unremovable trademark on her animals that would tell the public they were buying a quality object. The first button was made of nickel, and here's a copy of it with the elephant. And they also issued plain nickel buttons
so
that
was
year.
The elephant was the very first?
That was the very first.
All
And
right.
it was fashioned after a pincushion she had made.
No kidding.
Really.
Well, a little bit later on, we're going to show you step by step, era by era, how to identify your stiff animal. Susie, glad you're here.
See you later.
All right, Claire, who's in the apartment?
John, I think there's a theme to this show. We have an animal here, the Breakfast Time family. Did you bring your dog to be appraised?
No, but if you want to, it'll be fine.
Okay, I don't know, Susie and Ron, if we can appraise dogs.
She's 51, so I don't know.
We'll see a little bit later in the show. That would be a first for this program. But we thank you all for coming here today. Now, they've all brought items to be appraised. It's a little crowded on the couch today. We like having more the merrier. A reminder about our telephone number. If you want to put your item up for sale, you can. And our number is 212-802-0082. But Gwen McGee is in Kemah, Texas today. Gwen, do I understand you're whistling while you work?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's very clever, you segue queen, you. Well, you know, one of the things that always fascinated me was actually how the collectors got their start. We're here at the home of Ron Bebernis today, and he's going to tell us exactly that. This is Ron. Thank you for having us, and welcome to the show. So tell me, how did you get started collecting all these whistles?
Well, thank you, Gwen. Well, about 7 years ago, I got a wild hair and decided to build a boat. And as the boat was being constructed, I decided that I wanted to put a steam whistle on the boat. So I started looking for a steam whistle, and I looked, and I guess I looked for about 6 months before I found my first steam whistle. Then I found one, and then I found another, and then I found another, and here I am, 6 years later, still looking for more steam whistles.
6 whistles and 6 years and 120 whistles later, I tell you, we've got some great stuff coming up for you. We're going to see your stuff. It's so cool. And that's coming up a little bit later on Personal FX.
And 6 years later, it may be 240 whistles. Who knows? Thank you so much. And Charles, come have your item appraised. You're from upstate New York.
That's right, in the Hudson Valley.
Now, do I understand you came down to the city and you saw a foot warmer in the city that you had just auctioned off?
My sister and I had helped to liquidate an estate of some friends, and we auctioned off the foot warmer and found it in a shop down here in Greenwich Village.
For a lot more?
A lot more.
A lot more. That's what you come to New York for. Susie Anderson, Ron Norris, you've met. As Susie's always saying, in your marketplace, one thing, in that marketplace,
That's right.
another.
Are we serving tea?
I hope so.
Earl Grey, please.
There's not a lot of heat here, so we can warm up in the apartment.
This looks like it'll make any tea taste good.
Is this a family item?
No, actually, we don't know much about it, which makes it even more intriguing. Some friends of mine bought an old house, and they got it out of the house, so we don't know the story, so we've made up one.
Okay. Well, the story, the actual truth is that this is called Jasperware, and it's made by Wedgwood.
Right.
This one says made in England. This is their sage green, which was originally introduced in the 1700s, stopped and reintroduced in the 50s. So made in England, sage green, 1950s. That's where this is from. Easy as that.
Good thing is it's in terrific condition,
Yes.
and it looks like it has never been used,
I don't think
which is
so.
unusual.
Labels on the bottom.
Yeah,
Right.
you've got all your lids, you've got everything that you need, and you say you have 6 cups and 6 saucers. So
Yes.
we do have a complete
All
set
in
here.
mint condition
Yeah,
in
it was
the
with nice great
allegorical
stuff.
scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Terrific.
This is very easy for me.
Go to it.
500 to 600 for the set.
Yeah, and I think I like it at that as well. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous set.
Very lovely. Is it going up for sale?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. You know what? I just noticed that there are, excuse me. I just wanted to give him at least one to go.
Yes,
thank
thank
you. We'll
you.
put it up for sale.
Okay,
a little
thank you.
Valentine heart.
Thank you.
Preparation Valentine's Day. Carol, come on in next. So you've been having quite a field day.
The dog is over there. We thought it was better to leave her over there.
We're not appraising the dog.
No,
we'll
not
appraise
really.
this
I'm
one.
not
She's
going
well
to sell her.
behaved. Nice
Thank you.
dog.
Thank you.
She's priceless to you.
Yes, she is.
And where does this come from?
This is a cobalt vase. I believe it's cobalt, and we picked it up at a flea market when we moved up to Massachusetts, which was, it'll be about 20 years in June.
Got a good deal?
$3 to $4, I think, or maybe even less. Well, we have several others, you know, in the collection.
Cobalt is the color. Okay, that's what we
Yes.
refer to. This dark blue glass is known as cobalt,
Yes.
or you can also use it on pottery. But it's the color that means cobalt. It is a glass vase.
Floral line.
Yeah, and I don't think it's all that old.
Floral line.
What is floral line?
1940s, 50. From the florist.
From the florist.
From the florist. Which are collectibles, but not high-cost collectibles. We're out of the Depression era.
Yes.
And a way to tell if you have early cobalt is take black light, go in a darkened room, put it behind it. If you see the fluorescent through, you've got an old piece. The new stuff doesn't do it.
You won't have that, right?
And you won't have it in that.
Okay, what do the seams mean? Is that old, new, or does it
It
matter?
means that it is molded piece of glass and they were not fire polished off, which denotes it's only good as opposed to better or best.
Okay, not a big
Additionally,
ticket item,
the
though.
surface isn't smooth either, so that kind of tells you. This is a mass-produced piece.
Right.
So in what range?
Well, I like it at about $3 to $4, actually.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to go back on my shelf.
Okay.
That's fine, too. And why don't you put that back on your shelf?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Happy
thanks for
Valentine's
being
Day.
here.
Thanks for being part
Thank
of the show.
you. Thank
John, we're
you.
giving out candies today. But it isn't even Valentine's Day yet.
Susie, what if they don't have a tag? What do you do? Well, then they're priceless. Personal FX on the road every single solitary day. Here is our schedule. If the presidential candidates can go there, by gosh, so can we. February 19th through the 23rd, we're going to be in Des Moines, Iowa. Then the 26th through March 1st, we're in Palm Springs, California. And then March 4th through the 8th, we're going to be in Longview, Washington. If you're interested in being a part of any of those shows, give us a call at that Sprint-sponsored 1-800-FX-FX-FX1. Today we're in Kemah, Texas, where Carol is standing by, and Carol's going to give us a preview of what's coming up next. Carol, you're on.
Thank you. I have here what I think is a perfume bottle carrier, and I'd like some more information, please. Coming up next on FX.
A reminder, if you haven't written down our number yet, do write it down. 212-802-0082 for the items that are up for sale during the show that you want to bid on. Now, Charles is here with his sister, Billy. Do I understand you can't walk by an abandoned house without kind of looking in?
Just too much temptation. All those broken windows and curtains, we have to look inside.
And there might be a treasure inside?
Well, hopefully. But this is legitimate, actually, the one we have today.
Okay, well, that was legitimate. John, these are folks that really are interested in the subject of collecting.
Oh, boy. Hey, Susie, tell them your idea today. This is great.
Oh, with a candy with an appraisal today.
Anybody who gets an appraisal gets...
That's right.
We're building up for the whole Valentine's Day.
That's right.
How nice of you. Too bad I can't tell. Let me try tossing this out to Kemah, Texas here. Let's go out there to where Carol is. Hi, Carol. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. Tell us about the item that you want to have appraised there.
Well, I think it's a perfume-carrying purse or dresser set. Found it in an antique store. It is velvet, lined inside with satin, has two small perfume bottles, I assume, that are cut glass, that are cut square on the bottom to fit in so they don't move around. And I'd just like some information on it.
Oh, nice.
Velour velvet. That is, we would need a close-up of that bottle, a little bit better. But I believe it's from the 50s, 60s era, and you're absolutely right, it probably went on the vanity. Or you could take it with you if you were traveling. Okay, very nice.
And I think it's very stylistic of what was done in Victorian days.
Right.
Because they did that kind of work back
right.
then too.
It's revived.
Right.
Why did you need a close-up of the bottle? What did that tell you?
I was trying to figure out what country that was made from, and my guess is not the United States. Probably England or Czechoslovakia, one of those.
Why?
Simply by the way it's cut in the style.
Okay.
It's also double-checking it's not from the Brilliant period, which is earlier. I like them very much. It's very collectible right now. That is a hot New York collectible.
Is it?
As opposed to the Midwest or whatever. In the Midwest, you might be lucky enough to find something like this in an estate sale for maybe $45, $50. If you come into New York City, you're going to pay $300 to $400 for that.
No kidding.
So there's big
And
difference.
think about it, even though it's from the 50s, that's what you're looking at with an item like that. And what I like too, again, the condition counts, and it's all
wonderful.
There. It looks great.
It's interesting how one region can be so different.
Definitely.
Okay, do you want to, so we're $300 to
$400 on that set.
Okay, all right. Carol, do you want to take some bids on this, or do you think you'll hold on to it for a while?
I think I'll hold on to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for bringing it on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's check in with Jill. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Hi, good.
Nice to see you.
Yep.
Now, yeah, tell us about this horse you've got here.
This is Sparkplug, and it was my grandfather's toy when he was young.
Okay, well that makes sense because it is from the 1920s, and Sparkplug was introduced in 1922, and it was Barney Googles, the cartoon character, who
was
started around
introduced in 1919.
Right. This was his racehorse. Never seemed to win too many races, so this is kind of a... what I like about this the most is the blanket.
Right, because all the characters in this cartoon were made in wood by Schoenhut, which is Pennsylvania, and they all had felt clothing on, and the fact that they have the horse blanket outweighs the fact that the tail is missing.
Right, really? Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, these, just like a doll, can be restrung. So there's no devaluation there. The only devaluation here is the tail is missing. In perfect condition, the Schoenhut dolls in this time frame go for $400 to $500. Because you are missing the tail, I will tell you that any collector that has pieces, parts that can recreate it will happily pay you $225 on up for it.
Yeah, and to fix the tail doesn't cost that much, and that's why they would do that, because then they have a real good piece at a relatively reasonable price to fix up.
Right.
And so you've got a really, really good item here.
Do you want to fix that thing up, or do you think you might be interested in taking some bids?
Keeping it.
You're keeping it. Piece of candy?
Oh, sure.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. All right, Adam's up next. See what Adam's brought. How you doing, Adam?
Hi, good.
Nice
Brown
to see
paper
you.
bag.
Wow, this is a mystery item then.
Brown paper bags are very common, I think.
These are
What's
toy
inside?
soldiers from my grandfather that he gave me.
Wow.
I don't know really a lot about them except that they were his.
Okay.
You know, I think Ron Norris knows a lot about these.
Oh,
Doesn't he?
Now, these are known as dime store soldiers. They were very popular starting in the 20s, probably made in the United States. This guy here, he's missing something.
Yeah.
There was something that goes here. It could have been probably the telephone box or whatever. The condition on these is pretty good. Not mint, not great, but these are pretty good. They were played with a little bit. Yeah, get a good shot of these.
How many do you have, Adam?
10.
Okay.
10 including this one.
10 including that one.
It says on the bag here, and you have 2 cannons?
I don't know about that.
Okay, so 10
Yeah.
soldiers.
Now the marching soldiers are relatively common. The ones that are really commanding the bigger dollars are the ones with the guys with the guns down and throwing hand grenades or whatever they did, machine gunners and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
These are relatively common. These were manufactured the most. They were also very easy to manufacture. But I still think you're looking $5 to $15 a piece for these guys.
So minimum $50 he's got.
I think minimum $50. Wow. Oh, you betcha. You
Agreed?
betcha.
Right.
Okay. Hey, Adam, you want to take some bids, or do you think you'll hold on to them for a while?
I'll hold on to them.
You're going to hold on to them. That's fair. Piece of candy?
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
A kiss?
Maybe from her. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Alan is up next.
Yes.
How you doing there, Alan?
Good, very good.
Nice to see you. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Toy trains are always wonderful, no matter what kind they are.
Yeah, these belong to my wife's uncle, and there's a set of 12 of them. They were from the Danbury Mint. And I had just brought one, which is, I believe, is the Chattanooga choo-choo.
You just brought one, but how many do you have?
There's 12. I have the whole set of 12.
Okay.
We have the whole set of 12 of them. And they have, this is the different ones that they had, the from the Milwaukee Railroad. So there's a whole set of 12. I just
This
wondered
was a
about the
commemorative
value.
series which the Danbury Mint issued for railroads. Okay, they do a lot of these commemorative type of items. They do plates, they do a lot of pewter, etc., and so on. What did you pay for that? Do you remember?
No, these belong to my wife's uncle. And we inherited them.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, I think that for insurance replacement, it's basically what they paid for 'em.
Exactly.
Okay. However, on the aftermarket, if you were to sell it, they're not the most collectible, and you probably would get 20% of what you originally paid for them.
This marketplace is a created marketplace. They sell it to you at X amount of dollars, and notoriously, as Ron can attest to being an auctioneer, when they hit the secondary market, their value falls. In other words, if something costs $300, an auctioneer is hard-pressed to get $100 for whatever. They're not good investments. There have been lawsuits alleging false advertising pertaining to the limited collectibles. They are not to be considered investment pieces. Buy them if you like them. I had a set of Lennox little houses because I like little houses, not because I'm ever going to make money on them.
Well, can we give a ballpark figure? Any idea?
Exactly what it was issued would be insurance replacement.
If I were selling trains at an auction and I had this particular item to go along with it, you'd have trained people there might be interested. $25, maybe $30 if you were lucky, I think.
For all 12 of them?
That's for just the one.
Oh, just the one.
For each.
That's just
Each.
the one. But then
each.
again, it might go for $5, so you just don't know at this point.
So for the whole set,
It's a tough call at this point. The whole set, you know, maybe $100.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm being
ballpark
conservative.
figure.
Right.
Ballpark figure.
Right.
You'd be lucky to get 100 for the 12. You want to take some bids?
No, my wife would kill me if I sold it.
Thank you,
Thank
sir,
you
for coming
very
in.
much.
Piece of candy?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. All right, let's go back out to Kemah, Texas. And Gwen McGee, when it comes to these whistles, there's not a whole lot I know, but I guess they do come in different sizes and shapes and stuff, huh?
That's right. You're absolutely right. They come in all shapes and sizes, from this 4-inch whistle that would actually be used to warn an engineer of a locomotive that his water pressure was low, or a 4-foot whistle, which was actually used to wake up an entire town. Well, we've got large and small whistles coming up next on Personal FX.
Why, I ought to give you today's FX Collector Speak word, clobbering. It refers to the process of painting over a ceramic piece's existing design with colored enamels or gilding. That's clobbering. I wish they had told Rick Manicucci that when I was a kid.
Clobbering, okay.
Yeah.
It sounded like we were going to, but no, we're not going to. We don't have much up for sale. We will not put anything up for sale if the husband says, my wife will kill me. It will not go up for sale.
General guideline, you know. Call us silly.
Call us very silly. We have the Wedgwood set, though, the Jasperware, and it is a set of 6. It's been appraised at $500 to $600, but there could be more that is going up for sale. Our number is 212-802-0082, and you know it's cold in the apartment if John Burke is warming his hands in the oven during the break.
The heat is off, so we've got like the oven in this pathetic attempt to keep everybody warm. That's high-end television right there, isn't it?
Keeps the energy and the juices going. John, do you whistle? Do you know how to whistle?
There, how's that? Is that good?
Okay, but we're going to be seeing some even improved whistles.
Yes, much more improved. And Gwen, interestingly enough, right behind you, there's a lot of, looks like some sort of nautical instrument. Does he have another collection of instruments?
Yep. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later. I thought you might like that. I know you're what, JB? So now, let's talk about Ron. Now, the thing is, he started collecting whistles, steam whistles in particular, because he was building a 52-foot boat. And we have a replica here, if you'll just pick this up. Okay. You were building this, you thought it would look great if you had a steam whistle. You went and tried to find a steam whistle. You couldn't, but you have found 120 of them in the meantime. Tell me, do you ever think you'll find the right whistle?
Well, I don't know. I've been looking and looking and still haven't found the right whistle. As soon as I find the whistle, I don't have any excuse to keep on going. Maybe the right whistle doesn't exist.
Hey, Gwen?
All right, that's going to be a beautiful boat. Yeah, John.
Hey, Ron, I was just wondering, you build a 52-foot boat. Do you know anything about upcoming floods that we should know about?
Well, when you see the animals going down the street 2 by 2, you'll know it's time, okay?
All right.
I know that story.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into your collection, and actually, these are some of your first whistles. This is the first thing you ever got. Tell me about it.
Well, that's right, Gwen. These two whistles here are actually a part of the real prizes of my collection. These two whistles came off one of the old Staten Island ferries in New York City, the Miss New York. She was built in 1937, and she ultimately sank, and somebody had the foresight to salvage these whistles, and I found them. A gentleman in New York had them in his closet. He'd had them for 20 years, and he wanted to get rid of them, and I was able to get in touch with him, and we were able to make a deal, and now they live in Kemah, Texas, and these are a real prize. I always wonder about presidents and heads of state that rode on the Staten Island ferry when these things were blowing.
Great, great. Now, not only do you collect a whistle because it's a nice steam whistle, not for beauty really, but for story. So tell me the story behind this beautiful whistle.
Okay, this is an interesting whistle. This is called a Sinker-Davis whistle. Not very pretty by some people's standards, but actually it's one of the nicest sounding whistles in here. This whistle came off of an old sawmill up in East Texas, and at 6 o'clock in the morning this whistle blew. It woke people up. At 7 o'clock the whistle sounded. They were at work. They got off for lunch at noontime when the whistle blew, and then at 4 o'clock they went home with the whistle. So this whistle controlled people's lives. This was the town whistle, and it controlled everything in this town.
And it looks so innocent. Now here, yes, Claire?
I just wondering how it works.
How does it work?
Well, this is actually, technically, it's called a gong. There are two separate whistles here. This is one whistle, and this is one whistle, and it blows off a common steam source. When you pull the lever, steam comes up and actually blows two whistles, so you're getting two notes rather than just one.
Okay, great. And now here, can you just briefly tell me what all this collection, you got a collection within a collection?
Well, these are steam gauges. Whenever there's steam whistles, there were usually boilers, and wherever there were boilers, there were steam gauges. And whenever I couldn't find a whistle, I'd bring home a gauge. And so
all right. So the gauge goes with the whistle.
That's right.
JB likes
That's
those
exactly
things
right.
there.
Okay.
All right, now here, you and your dad have kind of gone on some adventures to find steam whistles, if you will. Tell me how you got this one.
Okay, well, that's right, Gwen. This is a real prize. My dad and I found this one in a junkyard of all things. This is really not a steam whistle. This is a steam siren. Came off of a World War II destroyer escort, and whenever they would drop the depth charges, they would sound this whistle, and it would kind of go whoop, whoop, whoop.
Wow.
You ever remember some of the Victory at Sea movies?
Right. Yeah.
But this is a real prize.
Right.
Steam siren.
All right, so we got 3 more things that we want to see. I hope we can get to them all. They're such beautiful whistles, but not only do you have a whistle here, you have a whistle and a box. So tell me about that.
Okay, well, this is another real interesting whistle. This is a steam whistle that came off of an old steam fire engine. This whistle was made prior to 1905, and it was made by the Lunkenheimer Company in Cincinnati, who still makes whistles. And the nice thing about this whistle is when we found it, it was actually in its original box that was made about the turn of the century.
Oh, great, great. And of course, we know that if you have a box, it adds more value.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Now, speaking of the size of whistles, you got large whistles and you got small whistles. So tell me about this miniature whistle here.
Well, these are a lot of smaller whistles that actually had the same function. They were used for alarms. These are the locomotive cab whistles that we spoke of earlier. And they just had various functions for notifying people of some particular event, getting off work, starting work, that type of thing.
Okay, and one thing that I was fascinated by was this whistle here. Now, this is a 1920s car exhaust whistle?
That's right. This is a collection of automotive exhaust whistles that were popular back in the early 1900s. Kind of similar to some of the later edition Wolf whistles that some of us may remember. These were hooked up to the exhaust of the cars, and if you pulled a little cable, it would sound a real pleasing note like this.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that cool or what?
Yeah.
Kind of a novel thing.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, you like blowing those whistles. He was blowing the whistles all the time around here. You can blow our whistles anytime on Personal Effect.
Okay, well,
we want to
very much.
thank you for having us and showing off your wonderful collection. Out of the 120, I say we have to come back again. We're in these parts. How about that?
Yeah, we'll have to do this again tomorrow. Thank you so much, Ron, for letting us in your house. Take a look at those.
Okay, my pleasure.
This is one guy, if you're his neighbor, you don't want to upset him. He'll just blow that 4-foot whistle, and then that's all she wrote. Claire, there's only one thing you can say about that collection.
What? Yeah.
He's still at it.
Still at it. But the two of you really perked up when that whistle went off.
Well, we had never seen one.
Yeah, that is so unusual.
Great sound.
Oh,
Great
fantastic.
sound. Anyway, Billy, come on in. Billy watches the show all the time. You learning a lot about collecting? for the
Learning
program?
everything. I wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it for anything.
That's nice. Now, where'd you find these?
These were in a box with a lot of jelly glasses and other glasses that was covered with cobwebs and dust, and they were to be thrown away. So I offered to clean them up. And
Was this in somebody's attic,
this is-
basement?
It was in a very old attic that hadn't been touched in about 100 years. So
Well, you did very well, because these are not jelly glasses.
No.
These are acid etched, and you'll see on the bottom, 1888. And 1888, who was presidential candidate?
Well, this is Benjamin Harrison
And this is
his
Levi.
running mate, Levi
Morton.
Morton. And that's what these are. These are either to commemorate their election, or they were designed for
Political purposes,
purposes
too.
before, so everybody
For
would know their
campaigning.
faces. What's unusual about these is, number one, it doesn't have the name of the person on it. And you would think normally they would have had the name, so that's unusual. The other thing I find unusual, Susie, the thinness of this glass.
Very fine blown glass.
Delicate.
I love them,
Yeah.
and in this time frame, political stuff is very hard to come by.
And in
Particularly this
condition.
glass, because this stuff is so fragile. I mean, you can break
Can
it so
break.
easily.
Very fragile.
So there's not. I don't think there's an awful lot of these around.
No, I don't know about you, but I'm 200 a glass on these.
I'm going to go about $250 for the set, but I think you're in the ballpark regardless. Yeah.
Unusual
These
to
are
find
glasses.
glasses of that age in this good condition.
Right. Exactly. And the fact that they're political just bounces them way up.
Okay, it falls into the political memorabilia as well as the glass collectors. Are you putting them up for sale?
I am. I am.
We'll be happy
Thank
to
you.
do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled.
That's how I
Take good
started.
care of them.
Oh, okay, I will.
And Alice
Good
coming
luck
in
fishing.
next.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, wait a
Fishing
second.
buddy.
Excuse me. Didn't get a
Oh,
chocolate.
forgot the
Oh, thank
chocolate.
you.
Forgot the chocolate. Can't
Thank
let you
you.
get away without chocolate. This guy collects 1,500 TV guides. Does that mean you watch a lot of television?
I used to.
Used to.
Like the old ones.
Okay.
This is a Green Hornet. Cast a Green Hornet.
An
with
FX
Van Williams.
collectible.
An FX
Very
collectible.
appropriate,
Now that's
yes.
going to increase its value, I think,
Definitely.
substantially.
And this
what
one
you've
is
got-
autographed.
Okay, and this is autographed by the Green Hornet,
Right.
the gentleman that played the Green Hornet. You know what? I like the condition.
The condition is wonderful, and unfortunately, because of his death, this is much more collectible.
Oh, sure, because you have a big following for Bruce Lee.
Right.
So you've got kind of a combination of things here that are really going for it.
In the value department?
Well,
how
the
much is
autograph is going to help because I don't think there's too many of those out there. I think in general, this alone without the autograph probably goes for about $20. So with the autograph, I'm going to put it at about $25, but with FX coming on with this, Susan,
I'm
what
going
do
to
you
go to
think?
$50.
$50.
Up to
there we go.
$50, and it's being protected the right way.
Absolutely,
With this on it.
yeah. And you got 1,500 of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Of different ones.
Yeah, I
Are
got
you looking
Batman.
to add to your
You got the
collection, or you're
Batman
looking to divest?
Well, both actually.
This one going up for
This
sale?
one, no, I'll hold on to this.
Keep
one.
it?
Yeah.
All right. Can I give you
Terrific.
in advance of
Thank you.
Valentine's Day? Susie, I didn't realize you brought in the candies. Thank you.
Well, we have to prepare ourselves for chocolate shock.
Absolutely. Every day to me is chocolate day. And we come back. Now, you also brought in some stuffed bears.
Stuffed bears, all sorts of stuff.
Okay, when we come back, we'll be learning about how you date your stuffed bear. Stay with us.